Hi, Central. As we begin the third trimester, I want to take just a few moments to invite you to look ahead with me and bring you into what's next for Central. This week marks the beginning of Lent, when some Christians intentionally reflect for 40 days leading up to Easter on Christ's life, his death, and our need for his death. I want to share with you two things that I'm studying right now before we get into looking ahead at Central. During this season of Lent, I'm using a guided reading that centers around the book of Isaiah. And in the very first paragraph of the introduction, I read, "When we see our desperate need for salvation through the lens of a cross and an empty tomb, we are reminded that nothing we cling to for security outside of Christ himself can offer us any real or lasting hope." The book of Isaiah was written during a time of cultural and political unrest. Nothing is new under the sun. The people of Judah wondered what God's solution would be to their problems. They wondered if God even had a plan. Whatever hope they put in their homeland was gone, and all they had left was to hope in the God of the generations that had gone before them. The book of Isaiah is actually a book about restoration. Simultaneously, I'm also reading a book on renewal referred to me by a Central dad, a local pastor, called Reappearing Church by Mark Sayers. And just this week, I read in his third chapter that renewal often follows periods of change and transition. Central family, I share all of this with you to invite us to look to Christ for our hope rather than looking to our plans, our human solutions, or even Central Christian School and other institutions for hope. As humans, we will never be the same after living through the last 2 years of the pandemic. As a school, we will never be the same either. As we look ahead, let's enter into a season of restoration and renewal as we elevate Christ and nothing else. The first thing I want to share is that we're hiring 2 academic administrator positions for next school year, and I'm inviting you into recruiting candidates for these positions. As you know, our beloved principal Paya Sample shared that this is her last year at Central. As we look ahead, I'm restructuring my leadership team and will be hiring a director of academics and a director of student growth instead of a principal. These 2 directors will partner closely with each other to move our academic program forward. The director of academics will oversee our faculty and our curriculum, and this role's primary focus will be the flourishing of our teachers. The director of student growth's primary focus will be the whole person flourishing of our students. This person will oversee assessment and gospel-driven discipline. They'll work closely with me to maintain and even further cultivate a healthy school culture for our students. Both of these directors will serve on my head of school leadership team, joining our already existing director of admissions and advancement and our director of operations. Some of you may be asking why I'm hiring these directors instead of a principal. I've used the last several weeks to examine models of other Christian schools and private schools, and this model is the most commonly used. It will give us an opportunity for 2 administrators to carry the complexities of a forward-moving academic program, and it will allow me to be a little closer to the work that's being done here. These positions are posted on the careers page of our website in the About Us dropdown. In addition to the teaching positions and the counselor position we're hiring, we need your help in recruiting Christian candidates that can join us in pursuing our vision as these 2 administrators. We need you, our families, in helping us hire people who are deeply committed to Jesus Christ, who are competent in education, and who reflect our student body. I'm happy to talk with any of you who have questions. Another thing I want to share with you is that I, along with our school board, have embarked in the strategic planning process to create a 5-year strategic plan. My hope is that we can share it with you in the fall. We're taking feedback from various stakeholders along with what you shared in our second trimester parent survey regarding community and culture, as we answer the question, what's next for Central in the next 5 years? And I've linked those survey results below. Please be praying for us as we examine who we are, how we've been impacted by COVID and the leadership transitions we've experienced in the last 5 years, and who Christ wants Central Christian School to be. Again, I'm happy to talk with any of you who have questions about that process. Finally, as we move forward and look to revive our service learning partnerships that were paused during the pandemic, I'm excited to share about a partnership our Summit students, our 5th and 6th grade students, will have with Harvest. Harvest is a ministry of Central Presbyterian Church, and they build relationships with new St. Louisans from other countries through gardening. Last weekend, our Summit courtyard was cleared out by Harvest volunteers and some of our 6th graders to make way for raised garden beds and a greenhouse right here on our campus. Seedlings will be cultivated in our greenhouse that will be transplanted into family gardens maintained by immigrants so they can feed their families and communities. It's a really exciting way to teach our oldest students about the world that's bigger than our own four walls, for our need for other people. It's a way to establish relationships with our international neighbors, and it's a way to give hands-on science experiences that align with our 5th and 6th grade curriculum, literally right on our own campus. I'll be sharing more about this awesome opportunity in chapel tomorrow when I host a representative from Harvest. Join us on our live stream that is accessed through our YouTube channel, or join us live if your child's grade is scheduled to be in the gym tomorrow. In closing, no looking ahead communication would be complete without a link to next year's calendar, so you can find that below too. In this season of Lent, as we reflect on the need for Christ's sacrifice in our own lives, in this season of political and cultural unrest, in this continued season of change and transition for our school as we move forward through the pandemic, let's join together and look to Christ for hope. Let's praise Him for the fruit of restoration and renewal that only He can bring as we look forward.